Hello, Orange teachers. This is John again with Educational Technology, and we've been getting a lot of requests lately of teachers asking, how can I create a fillable worksheet per se, either using something that you may have used before or using something out of our online curriculum. So today I'm going to go through a really simple example out of Wonders, but the same thing applies to pretty much anything, and I will try to address that as we go through the tutorial. So to get started, I have a PDF here, and what I did is I logged into the Wonders website. I just randomly chose 4th grade, and I was able to download the Reproducibles workbook. Now when I download that, it opens it up as a PDF, which looks like this, and I can essentially, normally if I was in the classroom, I might actually print these out for all of my students. Well, now that we're in remote learning or moving forward, if you want to save that time of copying or you want to be able to push this out with your learning management system, you'd want to take whichever of these pages works for you and turn that into something that students can interact with. They can have their own copy and they can turn into you digitally. So there's multiple ways to do this, but basically you want to get your one page down to a image, a JPEG. So we're a PDF right now. There's a number of ways to do this. If you're on a Mac, you can actually go to File, Print, choose the pages, and save as PDF. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a screenshot. So I'm going to make this as small enough so that I can fit it into the page. On a Mac, you can hit Command-Shift-4. If you're on a Windows device, you can use the snipping tool to do the same function of selecting an area that you want. But I already know that this is pretty much an 8.5 by 11, so all I have to do is select the area I want to create that screenshot. And again, if you're on a Windows device, you can do the same thing using the snipping tool and save that to somewhere you'll remember. In this case, my screenshot's saved to my desktop. So if I just double check, there is my worksheet. It's a screenshot. The important part here is that this is an image. In my case, it's a PNG. Normally when you save it, it would be a JPEG. Either of those are totally fine. But here's where the fun begins. So I am now in my OUSD dashboard, and I want you to go to Google Slides. I know this seems weird, but we're going to go to Slides. I know we typically look at Slides as our presentation tool, and that's correct, but I think you're going to like what you see. So let's create a blank one. And I'm just going to call this, you can obviously call yours whatever you want. I'm going to call it Wonders Fillables. All right, so here's the key. Instead of just starting to add context here on the slide, I'm going to go to File, Page Setup, and I want to change this to custom, and I want to specifically say it is an 8.5 by 11. Now, does this matter? Kinda not. All you have to really worry about is that the aspect ratio is the same as you normally would. So if you have a wide worksheet, just use 11 by 8.5 so that you know your image is going to fill the screen. Click on Apply. Now I'm going to go to where it says Background here at the top to change my background. And I want an image. So this is why it was important that we chose an image previously. If you have this somewhere else, feel free. Since I have this on my desktop, I'm going to click on Browse because it's on my desktop. And choose the screenshot I was just utilizing before. And voila. Technically, I now have my worksheet as the background. The nice part about this, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these, by the way, which you can click on the border to delete. Another way to do that in the future when you click on a new slide is choose the blank one. But students can't change this. They can't grab something and move it around. All they should be able to do is now type where you tell them it's okay to type. So what I would suggest you do is you use the text box tool and drag a text box exactly where you think they should be able to type. So in this case, I'm going to go right under there, and that's pretty much. Please type your responses here. You don't have to type in here. All you technically need to do is create the text box, but that is totally up to you. Another tip, especially for younger students that might help them just in guidance, is to select your text box. And you can either create a fill, especially if there's something you want to cover up, but in this case I want to give it a border color. So if I tell my students, you need to complete anything that is in blue, I can make my border blue. I can change the size of it. So what they'll see is this. They'll now see that blue border. Maybe you feel like red is a little more appropriate, so I can change it to red, and maybe I want to make it a little thicker. It doesn't really matter. That's kind of your own preferences. So once you have that, though, all you have to do is put that wherever you want. So I'm going to copy that and then paste it. So every time I paste it, I'm just going to move it down to the next section. And you're done. You now have a fillable worksheet just like you would have before. And I know my teachers always told me the first thing I should ever do is put my name on my paper. So if you really wanted to, you could add one up here as well for name. Now, that being said, you do have a worksheet, but now the trouble is I want to get this to my students. So I call this Wonder Fillables. If I go into my Google Classroom, now go to Classwork. Hopefully this is old to most of you, but if not, that is totally fine. I'm going to create a new assignment. And let's call this Wonders Worksheet Fillable. I could even give my students some instructions here. Please complete the attached worksheet. Be sure to complete any sections that are outlined in red. That's just to help my students. So I click on Add. This is in Google Drive because it was created as a Google slide. And it is most likely going to be here at the top as a recent, and there it is. But if not, I can always do a search for it as well because I remember the name. But I'm going to go ahead and just click on this one since I know that's what it is. And here's the other key. You want each student to have a copy, and you want them to be able to do something with it. In other words, you want them to be able to edit it. So make sure that this is set to make a copy for each student. And that's pretty much it. Most of this other stuff on the side we'll cover in a different tutorial, but once you assign that, you will now have a copy for every student in your class that you can check, turn in, grade separately, do as you wish. So we will cover that in another tutorial. For now, good luck out there, and remember, you cannot be an analog teacher in a digital world.